Well, there's a power for good in the universe, and we are using it. We can use it consciously, but we're using it regardless. And I think it's important for us to come to an understanding of our oneness, like really to understand our oneness with the divine. This power, this infinite power and presence permeates all life everywhere, is an expanded consciousness that is within each one of us that we can use. We can use it consciously, or we can default to our subconscious, which unfortunately is what happens a lot. Bruce Lipton, in the foreword to the book Life Visioning by Michael Beckwith, he wrote in there that in the subconscious mind is everything that's happened between the ages of 0 to 6. And that kind of forms the foundation of our lives. And then as adults, we consciously use about 5% of our conscious abilities. So guess where the 95% is coming from? It's coming from that training, those no's, those you did it wrong, you did it bad, coming all from that. What we want to do is quiet that voice and begin to listen intently to that universal voice. Within each one of us, there is prompts, there are ideas that permeate the moment where we all of a sudden hear this sweet, small voice. We might not recognize it right away because it can be very quiet, but we want to pay attention to it. There is a power for good in the universe, and it is within us, guiding and directing us. The challenge that we're faced with today is we tend to ignore it. That little voice pops up and says, hey, phone Joan. Yeah, I'm kind of busy right now, so we do something else. Or maybe we're having a challenge with a friend or someone that we work with, or hey, maybe a member of our Unity Church. And there's a part of us that holds back. We don't want to talk truth. We don't want to say exactly what we're feeling and thinking. What we're doing is we're eliminating the possibility of real and true connection. And we're not listening to that universal voice, which really speaks to the fact that all of us are created divine. So the challenge that we're faced with in our day-to-day living is marrying the divine and the human. That's the challenge. And looking at the person in front of us that sometimes we might not be in agreement with, can we see the divine when we look at somebody who is in disagreement with us, or maybe somebody who's angry at us? Can we still hear that universal voice? Can we still listen with our heart open, with a sense of curiosity and possibility? When we come to a place of really knowing what oneness means and what peace means, because that's what we were talking about this morning with the daily word, is the idea of peace. Peace doesn't come because everybody is, oh, all is well. No, peace is a choice we make moment by moment that has nothing to do with the circumstances around us. So it can be a little bit challenging. It is one of those things where when something's going on, we tend to react. You know, we hear something on the news that is unpleasant and we react to it. We hear a friend maybe criticize us for something and we react to it. Sort of normal human nature, isn't it? Those reactions come more from our subconscious mind than they do from our consciousness. So in Unity, what we're doing is we're training our consciousness to come to a place of love and acceptance of ourselves first and foremost, because if I don't love me, I don't have the capacity to love you, right? I can only give what I've got. Does that make sense? And the universe is so powerful. This presence and power that is being us, okay? It's not just in us, it is being us, right? There's only one thing going on: God the good, omnipotence, omnipresence, omniscience. So it's right here being each one of us. As we begin to tap into that, as we begin to take time in meditation, as we begin to listen to that still small voice when it pops up, when we begin to move forward, listening to that universal song, what we soon come to realize is there's something bigger and brighter for us, within us and as us, than maybe what we are seeing in the world around us. Now, if we were to look at the world and go, okay, everything I see is from the past, right? Everything I can see, touch, and feel is from the past because it was created by an idea in mind, right? Everything began with a thought, with a word. Like we go back to the Bible in the book of Genesis, God says to Adam, whatever you name a thing, that's what it's going to be for you. So when we think about the language we use and the way we speak about life, about our journey, we'll hear words that we're using that maybe go against what we actually want to create. I often hear people talk about, oh, this is so hard. Well, if I call it hard, it gets to be that for me. Someone else might find the very same thing easy. So we want to listen for the language that we're using and then come back to the idea that there's a power and presence within us that is all good, that is all powerful, that is saying yes. Okay, it's saying yes to us. Okay, this is where we get caught up, right? Because it's saying yes 100% of the time. What's it saying yes to? Oh, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I did that today. Yes. Wow. We want to begin to listen with a very open heart, with a sense of curiosity, with delight when we look at the people around us. And when we look at the world and go, okay, that's what was. That was created from an idea in mind that was held a moment ago or a week ago or a year ago or whenever it was created. What I want to create in this now moment is something brand spanking new. So I want to listen to that drive inside of me. I want to listen to the passion, the excitement, the delight, the thing that motivates and excites me. I want to listen to that voice inside of me, and I want to act on what I hear. I need to say yes to the divine idea, as well as knowing that the power within me is saying yes as well. The subconscious mind is the soil. So when we look at how life is created, it's a little bit like planting our garden. You plant a seed, you know that the seed that grows will be whatever it was designed by, right? So you plant a poppy seed, you're going to get poppies. If you plant an acorn, you're going to get an oak tree. If you plant zucchini seeds, you're going to get zucchini. If you want carrots, you got to plant something else. And so in our minds, we are constantly planting seeds. And the seeds go deep within us, and the universe, the subconscious, the universal connection where we are one says yes. What are the seeds we're planting? A lot of those seeds are doubt and fear and worry, upset, regret, guilt, shame. At least that's true for me. I'm not sure about everybody else, but so then we look at our life and we go, well, why does it look like this? I'm praying every day. Why does it look like this? Because I'm praying and maybe not listening. And so there's areas of our lives that will tend to trip us up a little bit. But again, that comes back to what Bruce Lipton said in the Life Visioning book, is that within us, we are using 5% of our consciousness and 95% of the subconscious. So we're allowing those old programs, where mom said no, or dad said no, or, oh, that's bad, that's wrong. And we've bought into that. And it's playing out, even though we can't see it or hear it or even recognize that it's there, but it is. So our journey is to create a daily practice, a practice that will allow us to hear that still small voice, a practice that will allow us to begin to acknowledge our own divinity. You were created perfect, whole, and complete, and unique and special, like everybody else on the planet. Imagine for a moment, there's 8 billion people here. And then, of course, there's animal life and plant life and all that good stuff. But 8 billion people. Now, if every single one of us had the same idea, the same vision, the same attitudes, attributes, what a boring place this would be. But we're all created unique and special. That's important to remember. And if we can come to ourselves and accept our own uniqueness, our own divinity, if we can look in the mirror and go, wow, I love you. Whew, you are awesome. What a magnificent being. Today's going to be the best day ever. If I begin to speak to myself with that kind of language, there's a lot less regret. And there's a lot of possibility that opens up because I'm starting my day with excitement and delight and joy. When I go into meditation, if I can quiet my mind, and more often than not, I can't. I don't know about you. My mind wanders. What I do is I pay attention to the wanderings, because those wanderings help me to see what I really think about. Am I worrying and fearful? That's the majority of the stuff that's going on. That's where, marketing is at its best, right? It's pushing our buttons. It's allowing us to think, oh, you need that new car, you need that new house, you need that big this, that, the other thing. We need. No, we don't need any of that. We need air to breathe, a roof for shelter, food to energize this human form. That's the need that we have. And we need to feel loved. We need to belong. So when we look at what our needs are and then look at what our wants are, if we can separate the two a little bit and focus on our need for connection, that there is something going on inside of us that is beyond description, because it's so powerful, but the world doesn't recognize it. I've read a number of books about the power of prayer, and I've been, a huge prayer my whole adult life, basically. And I know the power of prayer because I've watched it heal lives. How does prayer heal? How is it that I can speak the word and all of a sudden something happens? Maybe in a day or a week or a month, but something happens. Immediately there's a shift and change. How does that happen? Why is that? Why? And here's the thing. If there was a pill that I could, manufacture and sell that was able to heal, say even 50% of the time, it would be deemed a miracle drug. So here's the thing about prayer. Prayer taps us into that higher consciousness. It taps us into that universal voice. It taps us into that presence and power, that divine oneness, call it God or spirit, universe, whatever name you want to give it. It taps us into that. It moves us out of our fear, doubt, and worry and takes us back to a place of power and possibility, because it takes us to the one. When we are in that place of the one, we are speaking truth into life. And so when we're talking about our prayers and we're sitting back going, well, I want to heal this condition in my life, I want to heal whatever's going on, we begin to speak about it in the opposite way. We use affirmations and we use denials. And what are we denying? We deny the power of anything other than good, because good is the only thing that exists, because God is the only thing that exists. God is good. When we come to that place of really acknowledging that universal voice, what happens is the words we speak have immense power, and healing happens. Now, healing is not the same as curing. I learned this very early in my ministerial training when I was working with a young man. I was training as a minister, and this young man comes to me. He has lung cancer. He's, got his oxygen tank with him. He's only 32 years old. And he comes to me, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, okay, he wants his cancer cured. No, he just wanted a healing. And there is a difference between the two. And I think we get confused about that sometimes in New Thought. So we sit down together, and I said, so what would you like? And he said, I want for it to be okay. That was a huge shock for me. That was a huge shock for me. I thought anybody who was sick would want the sick to go away, but he didn't. He knew that his time was complete, and he was okay with that. He was really okay with it, which for me was very shocking. So when I went into prayer, the first thing I had to do was pray for my own mind to change my thinking about what he should want. Have you ever been in that place where you look at somebody you love or you care about and you decide what it is they should want in prayer, and then they ask you for something else? Or you think somebody should want this and they say, no, I want that. And it creates some confusion. So I had to pray for my own mind, to clean my own mind up, to let go of my agenda so that I could be in prayer with him. And he said, I want it to be okay. He was 32 years old. He was 32 years old. He wanted his wife, his young wife, his family to be able to get over this loss that they were about to experience. He wanted them to find a way to be okay with what was happening. And of course, that's a whole other story. So we prayed together, and it was a healing moment for me because it redefined what I thought prayer was for. And it was a healing moment for him. He was at peace when he left our time together, and he made his transition 2 weeks later. Life is giving us moments to be in the journey. And the journey is not what we always expect it to be. The journey is more than that. It's not about living and dying, and living is good and dying is bad. No, birth and death are the same thing. They're transition periods from one consciousness to another. That's all it is. So to fear death is to fear life, truly. So we want to begin to redefine what we believe healing is. And when we're praying, we want to make sure that our prayers are clear, that we're listening for that universal voice, that universal song. We're listening for that divine essence that tells us truth, and that we're working on cleaning up our consciousness, that when we notice that we're being negative, when we notice we're being self-loathing or insecure, that we're fearful or doubtful, we begin to go, wait a minute, fear has no power here. I am courageous. And we begin to change the storyline. We allow ourselves to be vulnerable so that we can actually speak truth, even when it doesn't feel good. Because sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes we have to say things because there's something needling inside of us, and it's like, oh man. And the people around us can feel that energy, that disconnect when it happens. So we have to find ways to reconnect. And the only way to reconnect is through honesty and integrity and telling truth. And truth is, my truth could be different than yours, because what's true for me doesn't mean it's true for you. But capital T truth, that universal truth, our oneness, that is for everyone. So we want to begin to change it. So when we're praying, and I'm a huge advocate for prayer, when we pray, we need to pray with a very clear mind. We need to open our hearts. When I pray, I want to begin with that idea that there's just one thing going on, just one. I want to get out of the problem. I want to get out of the situation. I don't want to be there when I'm praying. Because if I'm there, I'm adding to that, right? In Genesis, it says, whatever you name a thing, that's what's going to be for you. So I don't want to name cancer as bad or health as good. What I want to do is acknowledge that there is a power and a presence in the universe that is infinite, eternal, and it is good. It is love. It's the only thing that exists. There is nothing else. There is nothing to oppose it. There isn't this and that. There is only this one thing. And we all live, move, and have our being in it. And if I'm experiencing a health challenge, it's the universe saying to me, hello, what's going on? What you got there? What story? You see, God isn't going, oh, you're a good person, so you get to be healthy, and you're a bad person, so you get to have an illness. No. That's not what's going on. There's something in my subconscious mind that's going, oh, and I might be resisting life in some way. And so I get some illness, or I get a marriage breakup, or I lose my finances, or whatever. The universe is just going, hello, come on back. Stop looking out here for your answers and go within. Go within. Every answer you ever need is right within you. Remember, God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present. So God is right where you are, being you. God is all that exists. So all of the knowledge that could ever be known is right where you are. So healing happens when we get out of this idea that the world has to look a certain way. that life has to be a certain way, because it doesn't. You see, we can be peaceful and happy and be poor. We can be peaceful and happy and be ill. We can be peaceful and happy and be in a divorce situation. How we choose to look at life is up to us. And when we live from the inside out, we begin to create a sense of joy and peace within ourselves, even when we're challenged with outer events, right? Because we all have them. We all have them. You know, I started a new center a little over a year ago, and, you know, it is doing so-so, slow but sure. Is that wrong and bad? No, no, not at all. It is an opportunity for me to be at peace with what growth looks like. It's an opportunity for me to accept what is as it is, right? There's a journey that we're in is, can I be in life without judging it bad and wrong, regardless of what shows up? Now, a year ago, when I went to Unity Convention, I used a walker and a wheelchair. But at convention, I was able to give up both. And still to this day, you know, I put in my 10,000 steps the other day. There's a shift that happens when there's a shift in consciousness. Now, why did my body heal? My body healed because I had a new revelation. And the revelation was, if Myrtle Fillmore can do it, I can do it, right? And I believed that. I didn't have a doubt that showed up. You know, sometimes we pray or we make an affirmation, and then there's a doubt that pops in going, yeah, ain't going to happen. Or, oh, you're too old, or you're too young, or you're too this, you're too that. You live in the wrong city. You don't have the right job. You know, those negativity things come up. Is it just me, or anybody else relate to that? Yeah. What we want to do is listen to that negativity when it comes up, and then remind ourselves that it has no power here. It has no power. That is the denial step in prayer. When I pray for infinite abundance or growth in the church, or an expanded or consciousness or a love of my life showing up, and then something goes, yeah, but you know, the odds of finding love after 40, no, yeah, almost nil. No, that's garbage. That's not true. I mean, I met my husband when I was 45, so, you know, definitely not true. If we think that we are limited, we have basically taken life and put a stamp on it that says limited, and our reality is exactly that. It's not because God punished us, because God does not punish. God is just love. God is the energy of life flowing, you know, the law of cause and effect. What I think about, I bring about. How I focus my attention, that's what manifests. So we begin to look at this journey of life that we're on, and we begin to explore, my life is looking a little confused right now. Well, let me go back inside. Let me go into meditation. Let me sit and see what it is that I think about. Because my thoughts are creating my world, my reality. What I want to do is listen to the potential, the possibility. I want to listen to that divine presence. So I go into prayer, and my prayer is simple. God, the infinite, the eternal, God, the one. I want my mind to go there. I want my mind to come to a place of, yes, there's only God, nothing else. Where the challenges and the difficulties and whatever's showing up in my life dissipates for a moment, and I feel the presence of God. That's where we want to begin in prayer. Want to let go of the problem or the opportunity. Want to let go of all of that and just come to that understanding of this oneness with God. I remember as a little girl watching the movie Aladdin, or maybe I read it in a book, probably by my age, it was probably a book I read about Aladdin. And I always wished for a magic lamp, because then I could rub it and I could get 3 wishes. And that was such an exciting thought. It was like, oh my gosh. And I lived in that hopeful place of one day my wishes will come true. But, you know, when we're wanting something, of course, what we get is more wanting. And so that lasted for a very long time. And then I found New Thought. And when I found New Thought, I found it at a time when I had experienced through a spiritual epiphany, I had experienced my oneness with God. I experienced God as love, as this all-consuming divine energy. It was powerful and beautiful, and it changed my life immediately. And it didn't make it easier. In fact, it made it harder for a while. And there was moments during those first times when I had that experience, that oneness with God, where I actually wanted to take my life. My husband left me because he didn't marry a Christian. He married this heathen. He liked her. when she transformed into this spiritual being, he was like, yeah, enough of that. And he left. And then I was left with my children who were angry and crying all the time. And life was hard. It was really, really hard. And I kept praying, and it was still really, really hard. And I decided one day that that's enough. I'm done. And I got somebody to care for my children, and I made a plan. And as I was leaving my house to execute this plan of driving my car into a brick wall at high speed, I got a phone call. And at the time I was attending a church where I actually had this spiritual awakening, was in this church. And this woman phones me up. And at first I wasn't going to answer the phone, but then I was like, oh, in those days, it was like you answer every call that comes. So I picked up the phone, and she says, hi, you don't know who I am, but I sit 3 rows behind you at church. I'm like, okay. And she says, you've been on my mind, and I can't get you off my mind. So I decided to give you a call. And I went, well, you know what? I'm really busy right now, and I really do need to go. Yeah, but I just feel like I really have to talk to you. And I'm not sure why. And she pushed and pushed and pushed. And after probably about 10 minutes of, her talking about all kinds of things and trying to keep me on the line, all of a sudden I burst into tears. She was my angel. Who knew? Who knew that a stranger would phone and stop me at that moment? At that moment, when I was in the darkest, deepest place, when I'd given up. Whew, what a message. What a message. Now, I've never thought about suicide since. Obviously, I didn't act on it. But here's the thing. There is a power for good in the universe, and you can listen to it or not. She listened. She listened to that prompting when it seemed so ridiculous to listen to it. She didn't know me. I didn't know her. That church had a little directory with everybody's name and phone number in it, even new members. So she picked up the phone, and she got insistent. She was a woman of prayer. She was a woman of faith. And she listened to the promptings of God, and it saved my life. The walk that we're walking, the journey that is in front of us, we have no idea what the next moment will bring, the next hour will bring, the next day will bring. But always there are promptings. Always there's little messages, there's little insights that pop up. And the majority of them we ignore. I invite you to listen. Listen to that universal voice. Listen to those promptings, because you never know what they actually mean until you've acted upon them. You never know where they will take you. I'm here today, 40 years later, almost to the day, actually 39 years later, because a woman listened when she was prompted to make a phone call. God is present right here, being you, being me, and it's saying yes to everything life has to throw at us. It will always say yes to us. How we focus our thinking, how we focus our attention, how we choose to live is up to us. I invite you to pray regularly, to listen. Don't worry about what your words are. Just get into that space of going, I am one with God. Feel the presence of God. Feel the presence of God. That's why we're here. We're not here for a powerful message. Yeah, that's nice, but we're here to be reminded that there is one power in the universe, and it's available in and through each and every one of us, creating the lives that we live, honoring the journey that we're on, and taking us to places yet unknown. I invite you to find your voice, to listen intently, and act on it immediately. So let us join together in meditation as we allow this message to land and take up some space, however it fits. And taking a deep breath in and just relaxing. Allowing this idea of love, of oneness, to fully permeate every aspect. There is a power for good in the universe, and it's right here. And as I open my heart, open my mind, and as I listen, I feel the presence of love. Allow that feeling to grow. Imagine expanding that feeling of love from within the heart space, and allow it to go beyond the boundaries of this physical human body, filling the space in which we are, filling the room. Maybe seeing it as white light. And then allowing that to move beyond the walls of our homes, maybe to fill the city that we live in, the country that we live in. And imagine that light just wrapping itself around the earth. And as it does, it's touching hearts and minds. It is a warmth and a beauty and a grace and joy. And it's uplifting and powerful. Hearts and minds opening because this love is touching everyone at every point in space. And allow it to stretch out beyond the earth into the universe itself, out into the stars and the planets and whatever else is out there, just allowing it to expand beyond our ability to see it, but just see it encompassing all. The infinity of life begins at the center of our being, for we are one. And as we allow that love to settle in, as we allow that love to bring us present again in this room, as we allow that love to be the energy that we take into the rest of this day and this week and this year, making kindness and compassion for ourselves and others a way of life. Peace. Peace. Peace is realized. Taking a deep breath in and coming back into this space, knowing all is well. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. You're muted, Patty.
Patty, you're still muted.
Can't hear you.
You're muted.
She's singing. The song must be on. Can someone text her? Please?
And someone text her. Sure. Yes.
Yeah, I think Evelyn's gone
Yeah.
first. So.
Yeah, okay, Evelyn? Yeah. Wow, Reverend Barbara. Holy. Too much. It's just, wow.
Yeah, life takes us on journeys that
Oh, beautiful. Just comes out of you. It just,
that's just God stuff.
great, great. So much to think about. So much.
Patty, you're still muted.
I don't know why she can't unmute. That's
Yeah, she's really looking.
Yeah, she is.
yeah.
She had clicker mute.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
They upgraded Zoom about a couple of weeks ago, and all the panels
Yeah.
kind of changed.
Oh,
It's-
so
oh,
I lots of things happening this morning. We've all